Hey, this is your man Nick Granville. I'm coming at you from Wellington, New Zealand. It's a beautiful sunny day out here, and I'm in here filming this for you guys. I got a bit of a cold, so excuse the sniffly nose. One of those things. Just woke up today feeling like this. Anyway, so I'm going to do some stuff today talking about soloing and how to work on your soloing. Various different techniques and things you can do to think about. But first, I'll just kind of talk about the gear I'm going to use. So I'm using this Ibanez Talman, which is the Prestige model. It's kind of Italian vibe, two pickups. I've just recently had these pickups changed. The Seymour Duncans that were in there were amazing. They sounded great, but I can't live with single coil hum. It bugs the hell out of me. So I've swapped them over and I've put Damasio areas in here, which are my favorite single coils, and they sound great. They sound like real single coils, but with no hum. CC, dead quiet. So that suits me really well. And for the sounds, I'm going direct into the camera via a Tascam recorder into my camera, and I'm using the Fractal AX8 by Fractal Audio Systems, and I've got it on the Ruby Rocket setting, which is a basic kind of bluesy type tone, a little bit of breakup. If I turn down low, if I play light, I get the same effect. And that's the kind of tone I really like for soloing. For me, anyway, personally, that's what I like the most. Kind of reminds me of a saxophone. How a saxophone player, if they blow hard, it kind of has that slight sort of breakup. So that's kind of what I'm using today. Right? It's very easy when you're soloing to just kind of be thinking scales and this, that, and everything, and that's really important, but try and consider the important things. And one of the big ones that's often overlooked when soloing is rhythm. A lot of people play poor rhythm when they solo, and so therefore their solos aren't realized in the proper way. Someone asked me on Facebook, how I might approach, say, fast tempo soloing, or say playing over a ballad. And there's different ways I do that. And the way I think about it is what comes across to the audience. So when I'm practicing, working on my soloing, that's what I think about. So for example, if I'm playing something fast, say the tempo is this tempo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I tap my foot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's not going to work very well. My foot's going to get tired, it's going to slow down, and then you're going to drag. Better thing to do is to think half that tempo instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my foot thinking all 4 beats. Now I'm going to put my foot on just beat 1 and beat 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to do the same thing, same tempo, same tune, give or take. And I'm going to play in the same way, but this time my foot's sinking half. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That wasn't the best I've ever played of anything, but you get the idea that by putting my foot at half time, that what's happening is I'm essentially taking something that's a fast tempo and I'm making it a more normal tempo, at least in terms of how I'm thinking about it. Now when you play, what you think is what comes across to the audience. They feel that and they sense that, so that's really important. Now, when I play slow tempos, the opposite is true. I play, like if I'm playing a ballad, say the tempo is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the first couple of chords in my tune, Blues for Les, which I wrote for Les Paul when I heard that he died. It's off my album Refractions. Now that's a ballad, right? Slow tempo. And when I play that tune, I don't think 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 bars is essentially 1 bar, and that means you're less likely to kind of slow down, which is generally the problem. Now if it's a middle tempo, it depends on what I'm tapping with my foot and how I'm thinking about the groove and the rhythm, and I do this when I solo, not just when I play rhythm guitar. When I solo, I'm thinking about the rhythm just as much. And so when I practice this, I'm thinking about the things that make the groove work. Like, what is it? Is it swing? Okay, well then the pulse is on 2 and 4. So maybe putting my foot on 2 and 4 works. Or maybe it's like a rock thing where your foot should be on all 4 beats and kind of planting the rhythm. But I'm very aware of that is the point that I would make. So I would, definitely think about that, how you're playing the rhythm, how you're thinking about the rhythm, and also how you're going to play it. So further to that, how you're going to play it. So the thing is, you as a soloist, you have a bit more freedom. You don't have to state it if you don't want to. Sometimes I like to kind of pull the rhythm around a little bit. Sometimes I'll kind of float on the rhythm a little bit, which I hear saxophone players doing a lot. They'll do things like they'll go. And I mean, it's rhythmically, somewhere, but they're not really, it's kind of more of getting a flow over those sorts of things. And I quite like doing that. Has a certain feel about it and a certain rhythmic point to make. So again, I'll be aware of that. Sometimes you need to be really rigid, like if I'm doing something like... That's more like a kind of a groove rock thing, and if I'm doing that sort of thing, then I'm thinking about being more up on top of the beat, and trying to play more kind of rigid with it and more stating it. If I'm playing something like a blues, I might play more back of the beat. So you see there, I'm kind of sitting back on the beat a little bit and getting it a little bit more a fatter beat is how I like to think about it. Someone described that once to me as thinking of the bigger beat, and that's kind of the big beat feel, and that's sort of how I'm thinking about it. So I'm trying to sit it back, and so the end there I got into that kind of flurried run, and with that, again, I was thinking of that thing of kind of floating on it a little bit, not being really rigid about how I play that, which you hear blues players doing all the time. If you transcribe any blues of the really great blues players, you'll start to notice that some things are kind of groups of 5s, all kinds of weird things, because it's not really about being really rigid. So my point anyway is be aware of where the rhythm's placed, how you're feeling it, and that will make your soloing come to a whole nother level. So that's number 1 of important things to remember. Think about how you're going to express something. If I do something like this, for example, has a very different feel to say, one to me kind of sounds like someone screaming, one is kind of a little bit more singing. They're just a difference of point of view, I guess, is what I'm expressing with it. Something like... it's pretty aggressive. It has a different kind of connotation again than something like this. So you see that I'm playing really light and kind of that has a different emotional feeling. So for me, that's one thing that I'm always aware of when I'm practicing is like, what's the emotional point of what I'm trying to work on here? A lot of people forget about this. They don't think about it. But if I go, say something like this, and I go, they have completely different meanings to me. Same set of notes, but it's the way I'm shaping it and the way I'm grouping it. So think about the phrasing when you're working on your soloing. Whatever style that may be. I'm kind of playing in more a blues rock kind of style now, but you may be playing jazz. All of this stuff is universal. Jazz, blues, funk, whatever. It's just concepts I'm talking about here. Hitting chord tones is a really good idea if you can. For example, if I have something that's like an E minor 7 to an A7, 2 chords, right? A lot of rock players might just play minor pentatonic on top of that, E minor pentatonic. Perfectly acceptable, it's going to sound great. But when we hit that A7 chord, it's not really kind of speaking that chord, is it? I mean, it works, you can make it work, of course. But to me, the A7, one of the big things in that is the C sharp note. It's the third of the A chord, it's a really strong chord tone. If we look at this E minor pentatonic, we have E, G, A, B, and D. No C sharp. So if we were soloing, we might use that minor pentatonic in a rock fashion. Whatever, that you might play. But when we hit that D, what if we just drop that down to a C sharp? And I'll show you what that might sound like. And there I've just spelt that A7 chord by hitting that sound. So approaching chord tones is a really good thing to remember when you're developing your soloing. And it can take a bland solo to a whole nother level. Miles Davis was kind of one of the greats at this in terms of, I mean, he's a jazz guy, but he would have this knack for kind of hitting those notes, the ones that just kind of bent your ear in a way, and they were often some kind of chord tone, and usually quite a colourful chord tone, or a colourful note against the chord, and he just had a knack for finding those notes. Rock players do it too, you know, guys like Steve Vai, I hear him doing that quite a bit, just kind of pivoting on those notes. Michael Landau, another great example of someone who kind of pivots on chord tones and that sort of thing, but is primarily kind of a blues rocker, isn't he? Think about the vocabulary that you're using. Now, someone asked me and said, you know, how do you play without playing licks? Well, you know, you're really improvising, and you don't have to always do that. When I practice, that's often what I do, but when I'm playing, it's a very different thing. If you think of music as being a language, what these things, you know, this G is a certain note that creates, that might be a part of a blues rock language or whatever. It's a vocabulary, isn't it? So playing licks is great, you know, use that, but also, you know, string things together in new and unique ways, just like we do with the English language. We don't make words up, we take what you could see as licks and sort of string them together. Now sometimes, you know, the words don't express things properly, so you have to do that in other ways, and same thing with music. So what I'd suggest is having some licks up your sleeve. You know, things that you know are gonna work. So work them out. Say your lick is, I don't know, let's go with that. You know, and you might be in the middle of a solo where you're playing your blues licks. And there's my lick, and I know it's going to work, so I can throw that in there. And it is a little bit contrived, but your audience doesn't know that. Nobody listening does. I mean, if you use that lick over and over and over again, then it's going to be a little bit too repetitive, but... Well, that's not music, is it? That's just me playing the same lick around and around and around. So music, you want to have a bunch of different things of vocabulary that you can use. And you also want to be able to discard them and not use vocabulary at all. Maybe be truly improvising if you can. That's also useful, and being able to go between the two. But I think having a vocabulary and having licks and having phrases is a really important part of music. So there's nothing wrong with that, and do it and use them. And if they're good and they make good music, then that's the only thing that really matters as far as I'm concerned, at least anyway. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you've liked this, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to do some more. It's been a while since I've done a video, a lesson video, but I'll do some more. Look me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to put more effort into Twitter soon. I haven't really done much with that soon for a while, but I will. And there's some diagrams of stuff on my Facebook page, Nick Granville Music. I've got albums available. Check those out if you want to listen to some of this. And if you got any comments, let me know. Okay, cheers. Bye.